Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Checkmate Theory, where we speak about lifestyle, business, and making moves. Today I'm with a special guest. I'm here with Baran Korkmaz, the CEO and founder of Arway.
Yeah, thank you for having me on board, Ahmed.
Thank you very much for being here. So just before we dive right in, can you just introduce yourself? Tell us a bit of who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Yeah, sure thing. Here on, I'm Baran Korkmaz. I'm a 17-year-old founder here based in London. I started my tech company back when I was 14. Since then went on to raise funding, join an accelerator, onboard some clients, build an engineering team. Now we're looking to continue growing in the future.
Incredible stuff, man. Incredible stuff. So we will get into the Techstars. I believe you're with Techstars, right?
Yeah.
So we will speak on that in a few minutes. But can you just tell us what Arway is?
Yeah, sure thing. So essentially at Arway, what we're doing is we're building some developer tools. Um, so using AI to power computer vision. So essentially what that means is your mobile phone camera can now understand your surroundings to a centimeter accurate scale. So the idea really comes from when back in 2017, I was inspired by the Grenfell accident. So what happened in that tower fire was authorities didn't know the locations of people indoors. And so essentially by having this AI understanding of your world through the lens of the camera, we can actually take that interpretation and get a location position. So instead of having to set up any hardware infrastructure indoors or on the ground, you can rely on computer cameras to understand location. And so that can enable all sorts of apps. So right now, we're supporting mainly augmented reality software studios and developers who are building experiences around that to pin to places. We've also with Techstars had the chance to work with some governments and actually work with some other defense contractors to basically explore the use cases beyond just apps and mobile games.
That's incredible stuff. So take us back to when you actually started working on Arway. Where did the whole concept start from?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I mean, back in 2017, the summer of 2017, that's when actually AR Kit came out. And just to give a little bit more of a context, so Apple and Google, of course, these guys always release developer tools. So they always create new technologies for app developers to use when developing apps. So yeah, by 2017, Apple had just actually launched ARKit, and what that is just like a computer vision framework. So basically, it enables software developers to, actually use the camera to track the environment. And it was just a very early stage. So what I thought was, okay, we have the Grenfell tragedy. The biggest problem there was authorities not understanding location and having to throw out all the protocols that they usually have out the window. So if we could actually find a way to just, for a very low cost, very scalably, understand where people are inside that building, then we could essentially communicate that to authorities, such as firefighters. And so the idea was, let me build this prototype. Let me take this bill of code that Apple created that enabled every phone to have this capability, and just try to hack it together so it could actually get some sort of latitude longitude position up to a centimeter accuracy. So
Wow.
that was the initial point. I built the prototype, took it to some competitions, picked up a couple awards, and then I got recognized by Sky News, BBC News, and rest is history from there.
And at 14, you were still at school at that time, right? So how did you balance all of that, building a startup and GCSEs?
Yeah, so at that point, it wasn't actually a startup even. So it was just 14. It was the summer of 2017.
Okay.
I just wanted to build something because I was like, what other way could I spend my summer
Wow.
instead of doing that. So that's why I was like, you know what, let me just cut myself off from doing any, like, you know, going to parties or anything,
Yeah.
and just focus on okay, I've got this like idea, can I just try and build a prototype around it? So yeah, it took me a little bit of a while to like actually come to building it, you know, creating the designs, concepts. Then I had to research like the market viability for this, like would authorities actually use it, would they not? And then I had to talk to so many different people that I usually don't speak to, like, you know, product people. I had to speak to firefighters, interview them. So it was like a really long summer of just testing and trying stuff out. And yeah, at that point, I don't even know what a startup was. So, you know, I had no ambition of going to a startup. It was only when, after the Sky News, I was like, okay, so I've got this recognition. People think it's a good idea. Let me actually turn it into a business. And then I was like, wait a second, this could actually turn into a startup business.
Yeah.
And the startup mentality is usually build fast, you know, you move fast, and you don't, you know, straight away monetize it. So yeah, it was a great experience to go from there.
So tell me about the research process. So you was in school and you was reaching out to firefighters, you was reaching out to
Our
project
also
managers.
professors as well. So there was like
Yeah.
some research papers online that actually had this similar concept, and so I actually reached out to like maybe, you know, 10 professors here in the UK around computer vision, and then I reached out to a bunch in the US, and you know, only a couple got back to me, and out of those couple, only one was like more serious than the others. And then
Yeah.
I was invited to like a bunch of inventors forums, and like different groups where they discuss patents and all sorts of ideas. So it was like a whole learning experience. And you know, I was just dragged around like, oh wait, should I get a patent? Oh, should I try and
Yeah.
sell this? Should I license it? So it was like just trying to, like, at that point I was just trying to figure out all the different paths and options. And yeah, I mean, that like curiosity was what really kept me going.
So how did they react to a 14-year-old coming to them with this great idea? Did they take it
Yeah,
on?
so
Were
mm,
they very receptive?
yeah, so surprisingly, so again, I did reach out to a couple like institutions, like, you know, some of the firefighting arms here in the UK, because I like went through the competitions. Some people like introed me to them, but actually, yeah, it was quite interesting because initially I was pretty scared to reach out to them. I mean, I'm sure anyone trying to network for the first time is of course scared. So by
Absolutely.
that point, I was thinking, okay, let me just you know, shoot my shot. And actually, they were quite supportive. So the replies I did get from some of the professors was just a reply of encouragement. They were saying, look, just keep going. You know, why don't you even consider writing your own white paper? So I actually ended up writing like a 12-page research paper on, you know, like with a full detail of an abstract,
Yeah.
breaking down the details. You know, it was like a full-on research paper that I could actually publish at that point. And then the turning point was when I reached out to a company. So again, all these other places were replying to me, but they weren't actually doing as much of an effort to bring this to life. So I reached out to this one company called Pointer Labs here in the UK, and they were developing some sort of similar, you know, indoor hardware location technology at the time. And they actually replied to me, invited me to their offices, and I actually met up with the CEO. You know, he congratulated me for doing all this stuff, and yeah, said like, let's you know, actually try and work on your idea here at our company. So
Wow.
yeah, that was like the first bit where I was like, oh great. I mean, I could actually start seeing how this could materialize.
That's incredible. So did he work as a mentor for you? Was he like someone that was guiding you throughout the journey?
Yeah, so yeah, at that early stage she was like a mentor, and then also yeah, it was definitely like some guidance for me, because you know, again, I had a prototype, but this prototype was nearly not enough to take to market or to do anything with. Um so actually working there and having the chance to speak to the engineers, understand their technology, and actually, for a couple months trying to integrate it together was really great, because now I had an idea of actually what it takes to bring this to market. But yeah, after a couple months there, I decided, okay, I've pushed it as far as I can with this company, but I think I can actually take this and instead of using it as because what I figured out was going to government and like trying to bring innovation within government, and let's say the fire service is actually quite slow if you're not already a big enough
Oh, I
established
can
company.
imagine there's a lot of bureaucracy going on. There's a lot of people
Yeah,
to speak to before you get to the
exactly.
final decision.
Yeah. So I found that process super slow because I had already, yes, the prototype, I had everything in place and it was working, but again, it was a very slow process. So what I ended up doing was taking this and pivoting it to actually commercialize it more.
Yeah.
And the idea was, okay, if we can get location data, this can be used in other ways. So like this could be used in an indoor navigation app, or this could be used in like proximity marketing, or in all sorts of other ways. And so that's when I was like, okay, I think that if I commercialize it, it's going to move faster. And then later on, I could go back to the government, which I ended up doing. So I started trying to sell this to a few places. We started as well, when I say we, it was myself, and then I actually met my co-founder Dovi on Twitter, and
Wow.
he helped build the web platform. And so we it was barely functioning, but we ended up actually getting a contract
Yeah.
all the way out in we first started with a small scale pilot in India, and that's where like my third co-founder came in, and he was building the it's quite interesting. He was doing all the system architecture of the computer vision side of it.
Wow.
Um, so we got our first contract there, got some money. With that money, we decided, let's just reinvest it all, try to buy more software, develop it out, and by that point, I again we started to grow that a little bit more. And this was 2019, so 2018, 2019, that was like the transition period. And then let's say for this year, we go into Techstars, right?
Yeah.
And just to quickly mention on the Techstars part, so with Techstars, we had the chance to work with the US Air Force.
Wow.
I can get into this a little bit more later, but
Yeah.
basically that gave us the chance to actually now accelerate our path into government and into defense.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's
It's a
like
great
going back to
starting
the
point as well.
original vision.
Yeah, it's a great starting point as well. Before we go into Techstars, I want to talk a bit more about how you formed your team. Um,
Yeah.
so you met Dovi, and then you met your other co-founder in India. So what was that like?
Yeah, sure. It's I definitely need to give more context on that. So yeah, first time 2018, I by that point I was already featured on Sky News, on all the other on BBC as well. Had a couple of awards I won, and by that point I actually met Dobie through Twitter. So pretty much I think I just set up a Twitter account. I actually saw that there was a big developer community on Twitter sharing
Yeah.
like their coding projects, and a lot of these guys were quite young. So I saw Dovi was one of those developers in that community, and he actually had the exact skill set I needed, because my gap in knowledge was on the web development side. So like it was the mean stack he was using. So like all the different like coding languages that worked on the web, and the that was kind of like the main issue I had. And so he kind of filled my weaknesses, and in a way he kind of admired that like I had already taken this idea and like pushed it further, because usually developers build something and then jump onto something else. They build something for like a couple weeks, and then they find something else shiny to play around with.
Yeah.
And he actually admired like how I wanted to push it more. And he jumped on. And for my third co-founder, Nickel, I found him on LinkedIn actually. And the way where I connected with him was he was already doing something similar. So he was writing some research papers. He was also building some AR apps, and I actually really admired his work. And I was like, look, I think we share a similar vision. you're going to try and build this, I'm going to try and build this. Instead of trying to compete with each other, let's just work together on this same idea.
Wow.
And yeah, he gave the talent for like, so it was like, Nicole's on the app side, Dobie's on the website, and then I'm now I have more time to focus on taking this to the business stage.
Yes.
So that's when my time was like 20% coding, 80% doing business development and trying to push the company forward.
That's incredible, because I was looking into Arway and the YouTube channel, and you have quite a big office in India. So what is that like, managing a team that's so many thousands of miles away?
Yeah, sure. So again, I think it's really interesting. So I think with COVID as well, right? Like that's kind of proven to us that remote working has to work, right? So well, that was, yeah, I mean, the whole experience of starting the office there and working with the engineers was quite crazy, since the time zone difference as well. So that's why initially how we structured it was Nicole's going to be like our developer operations lead. He's going to manage all the guys there.
Yeah.
And essentially with the meetings we're going to have, and the way we're going to structure our time is each week we're going to have a meeting with the whole team. So like literally everyone on board, we're going to have a meeting, discuss the progress we've made, the actions for next week, and yeah, just like talk like off topic as well, off business, just to boost I guess team culture and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way we've structured it is we have sprints. So pretty much I don't know if some of your viewers understand like the concept of software sprints or anything, but the way it works is pretty much in any software development, you need to like break it down into tasks, right? Some very, very simple tasks.
Yes.
And then you need to organize like when and how you're going to do those tasks. So the way we do that is for a sprint. So we have currently we do 2-week sprints. So for example, we launched our beta 3 weeks ago, our public beta for developers. And the way we're working through it now is every 2 weeks, we're updating the software. So like we're releasing a new version, and in each version release, we have a set of tasks. So whether that's, let's say, making the system load faster, maybe adding some new features, etc. So that's like essentially how it's all structured. So Nicole, he oversees everyone, has calls with them at like 5 a.m. in the morning. My time is so like I think 10 a.m. their time, and just goes through like how's everyone doing, what's the plan for today, what's everyone's tasks, are we behind on anything, and yeah, so we structure it like that, and we have these like reviews. And the final thing I just want to add on that, and especially it's very important for remote teams, is being able to track your numbers, right? So you need to really track if your team is performing well, since you don't actually work with them. You don't really see that performance in person. So the way we do that is through numbers. So we use something called key performance indicators, so KPIs.
Yes.
And those KPIs, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the concept, but those KPIs are around, okay, did we complete our sprint on time? Did we finish all our tasks in that 2-week window? And yeah, are we on track for this product roadmap?
Yeah. So to track the KPIs, do you use any platforms to track product management, like Trello or other CRMs?
Yeah. So I should probably actually talk about the tools we use. Since again, I've just been talking like high level, but the tool we're using for software development is Jira. So that's essentially powering like the roadmap, the sprint planning,
So this is
task
your tech stack.
assignments. Yeah, so this is just like for that's like how we manage our like software development. So we
Okay.
use Jira, and then I personally use Trello alongside my like growth lead, just because we don't add, like I don't add some of my tasks into Jira, because it's not, so let's say if it's not software related, and so I use Trello to track those. Again, Trello is more of just like an idea board as well. It's not as, I guess, clean cut as Jira, because Jira is like
Yeah.
very well, it's really tight, it's well managed.
Yeah.
And then the other tools we use for software is like GitHub. So, of course, push pull. So, seeing how many commits people make, activity, etc. And yeah, I think those are like the main tools we use. I mean, we use, other stuff like, you know, calendar invites. I mean, I think that's one of the most basic ones, just
Yeah.
setting in recurring meetings, team meetings. But yeah,
There's,
that's pretty much
there's a
it.
good one I use and I like to push. It's clickup.com. So
Okay.
ClickUp, you can integrate all of the other CRMs into one, and it's just one major platform for.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention our CRM. Sorry, we use Pipedrive for our CRM. So, all the meetings I have, all the meeting notes,
Yeah.
like everything is on Pipedrive. So, we have like tens of thousands of contacts on there. Whether it's our investor contacts, mentors, customers, developers, like it's literally everything. So yeah, I think having a CRM has kind of like changed the way we do anything already. So before having our growth lead join in, we don't have a CRM. So we only recently got a CRM during this summer, and it's honestly just like transformed all our operations.
Yeah, and it definitely helps with remote work as well, because you can see it's like a virtual office. The CRM, you
Yeah,
see what everyone is doing, the task that's being completed, what needs to be done, any upcoming meetings. So it's an amazing tool that we have in today's day and age. So you spoke a bit about the Air Force, and that's how you got into government's contracts and stuff. What was that like?
yeah. So that was quite an experience. So that was well, that actually happened this summer. So this summer we had the chance to get into all of the get into the Texas program, get started with all of that, and yeah, it was a really great experience. I mean, we had the chance to. It was like a 13-week accelerator. We had the chance to work with the U.S. Air Force. There was also the Norwegian Ministry of Defense, Norwegian, I believe, the space agency. There was also UK DASA, the UK's defense ministry, and yeah, there was also like Netherlands government and a few others participating. So it was quite an interesting like collaboration
Yeah.
of all these different places, and it's quite interesting because our cohort was called the Allied Space Accelerator, and our technology was basically like we were placed amongst companies that were building space satellite tracking tools, that were building tools to track drones in like Africa and
Wow.
everything. Like it was really crazy. So yeah, I mean, we got to see like firsthand some of the tech that will probably be used and deployed in the next 10 to 20 years. And some of these guys were like working with the UN and helping their drones and improving like software and network bandwidth, which was really crazy. So yeah, it was quite the experience.
That's
It
amazing.
was like working in like a secret lab or something, seeing like all the new inventions
Yeah, I can
happening.
imagine something like straight out of a movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's the closest thing to Area 51 I can get, probably.
That's amazing. So during that time and during the time that you actually started, were there any difficulties or challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of difficulties, challenges, um, yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge was just keeping up with everything, I'd say. I mean, at that point, it's a 13-week accelerator. They're pushing us a lot with the content they're giving. They're
Yeah.
giving us like literally workshops and meetings every day nearly. And for the first 2 weeks, the way Techstars is structured is they prep you for this thing called mental madness, and it's kind of like a mental speed dating thing. So I actually got introduced to people from SpaceX, like the head of engineering there, to people from
Wow.
Uber and Google, Facebook, Mapbox. Like there was so many different mentors in the program that I had the opportunity to connect with. And yeah, it was set in this like speed dating format. So in one day we had like 20, 30 meetings. And yeah, it was really fun because it pushed you to it definitely pushes you out your comfort zone to pitch more and taking all that input and advice. And after the end of it, you feel drained, but you now have like a new perspective. And then Techstars, what they do is they help you back up again. It's like you go through mental madness. It's like a hell week, let's say. And then at the end of it, they give you a nice blanket and then help you up and give you some workshops to improve on. So yeah, it was a really great experience.
It's really good. So take me back to your first year of, let's say, business and developing Arway.
Yeah.
Were there any challenges you've overcame, or that could have been the make or break to Arway? Like, if you didn't get past that, would have that been the end of Arway? Was there any like tough times during this process? I'm sure there were.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So especially before Techstars, what one thing we wanted to figure out is our path to revenue, and we were definitely struggling with getting to certain goals, and even understanding like SaaS metrics. So at that time, we didn't even realize we were a SaaS company, and what SaaS means is software as a service.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were definitely struggling. I mean, personally, I was struggling, like trying to learn at the same time as growing the company, because all this stuff was new to me. So that's why when we had the chance to get into Techstars, it was a great experience because it just accelerated everything. It was like it gave us enough time, enough support for myself personally to evolve, like personally develop and understand SaaS and this whole business, like from financial modeling to the branding aspects to all sorts of things. So yeah, I mean, we definitely had some close points there, and then yeah, just having the chance to get into Techstars gave us that extra push to go forward, and now we're at a point where we're doing really well with our growth, and yeah, so I think like 2019 was like when things were progressing, but it wasn't at the pace we wanted to, and that's just because it was like it's my first time starting a company. It's the first time I'm doing anything, so yeah, that's why I was like, I'm trying to learn as the company evolves, but my learning is a little bit behind. So it's like the company's growing faster than I'm learning it, and that's kind of how I'm not able to capture as much value from it.
I see.
So yeah,
and it is quite
that's why
difficult.
an accelerator is always helpful. Yeah, I think any accelerator is helpful to have like an outside perspective.
Yeah, and it is quite difficult when the company's growing so fast, and you need to kind of catch up, learn as much as you can, implement tasks, and it's both incredible and scary at the same time. But it shows that you're doing something right.
And the biggest problem we had was we were growing, but it wasn't like we were growing in a good way. We didn't even realize we were growing. That's the problem. So we were growing, but we don't realize that we were growing in the right position. So at that point, we were B2B focused. So we wanted to sell this as like I said, like an indoor navigation kit for businesses. And in that sector, the sales cycles are very long. Yes, the contracts could be up to 20 to 100K, usually, but the thing is, it takes like so like essentially they would license the indoor navigation kit. It was actually like a white label service, so we would actually put their branding on it, sell it to them, customize it a little bit, but yeah, the sales cycles were super long. Like we had signed our first like pilot, and then we had maybe 3, 4, 5 months later, that's when we had actually gotten another project and another potential client. So it was a very slow pipeline to grow, and that's why we ultimately decided, okay, we're trying to focus here, but developers, and we were getting loads of like software developers coming to us in studios saying, oh, could we use your technology? Can we license it from you? And we were just turning them away because we were like, well, we want to chase the big bucks. We want to sell to businesses and not to you guys. And neglecting that kind of affected us. And that's why with Techstars, what we realized is actually we should focus more on the developers, because again, this is an early market, and the people who drive innovation in any business are the developers. So like even with Apple, with the App Store, it was the developers who had to create the apps. And yeah, it was the same thing for us. And now we're just focused on developers. And of course, the plan is from now, so by the end of 2021, we want to shift slightly back into B2B. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so Techstars has definitely helped. Were there any other resources that you have used to grow as an individual and as a CEO?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the other tools that I was mainly using was I was using a lot of YouTube, I'd say. I mean, if we're talking specifically tools, like learning a lot of content on YouTube.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of value out there. So I was watching channels like Valuetainment, which is really awesome. There's also like a couple other ones I'm just trying to think of. But yeah, that's also essentially what drove me to create my own YouTube channel, which was, I actually love the concept of sharing content and creating stuff from my learnings. So for example, in the early this year, actually, we had received an acquisition offer, and basically we turned that down. And
and your latest YouTube video that I watched yesterday, really entertaining. I recommend everyone that's listening to pause it and go watch that now. But yeah, you was mentioned in that YouTube video that you rejected £1 million at the age of 16. Now tell me about that.
Yeah. So that's quite a story. Actually, until I actually made that video, no one really knew around me. So, I mean, of course, my team knew, and of course, like our investors and mentors and stuff. But yeah, none of my friends knew. So the process behind that was, early this year we had been approached by a company, and they wanted to just buy our technology completely because they saw, look, there's a lot of value here, and if we were to grow enough, we would basically make their tech obsolete. So pretty much they would have to adapt anyways to like the new market. But yeah, I mean, they came to us essentially initially as like a partner. Then the company CEO like got back to me and said actually they are interested in buying our company. So there was a lot of back and forth, negotiating, doing all that stuff. And I think the main reason why I turned it down was it was the deal terms and like the part of like selling yourself short. So if you look at the contract and the way it's broken down, it's essentially they just want to hire us and hire us by buying the company. So
I see.
so yes, they would give us like some stock, they would give us some perceived ownership. Then they would also like give us some cash, but it's not upfront, it's not anything like that. So we would have I would have to work for the next 4 years, or at least 3 years at the company to see any of that actually happen. And that's even if I stay there. So what if, I don't know, in 2 years I want to start something new, or in 2 years time they're not doing what they're promising. So there's a lot of flaws to stuff like this. So I realized it wasn't the right thing. I would happily be a consultant for Apple or like other companies like that, and sell to them. But selling to like more of a mid-sized company just didn't make sense, because we had so much more to grow, and we hadn't even launched a product, we hadn't even done anything at that point. So
I see. So during that time, were there any people around you that were saying, "Oh, let's sell"? What was that like? Was there a lot of people?
So no, but exactly, and that's why the initial mentality was, we're gonna sell, because that initial excitement was like, oh great, we have an offer, let's sell the business, let's exit now. But the biggest problem there was it just didn't, like, the deal terms just didn't add up. And I mean, I think by the end of like the negotiating and back and forth over email, we realized actually these guys don't have the best intentions in mind for us. And then we were like, okay, if we just hold tight, if we can get funding and raise like money from investors ourselves and go to market, then essentially we wouldn't even have to depend on these guys or this deal, and we could probably sell for much more in the future. So that was the kind of mentality we had at the end of it. But initially, we were excited, we wanted to take it. but it just didn't add up. And by the end of it, we kind of got back to our senses.
Yeah.
And as a team, we like just agreed, okay, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to go ahead with this.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So since then, how did you go about and approach the funding process?
Sure. So in terms of funding, so that was quite yeah, an interesting thing, because at the start of it, I had no clue how to even get started. So the best way to approach it is not to think of it as a big task or a big hurdle. I mean, essentially all you're doing is making these like partnerships with investors. So you're, like if you treat them more as a customer, it probably makes sense, because um, essentially you pitch them the concept, you pitch them your idea and the business to them first, and then over time you develop a relationship. So even if you don't get your foot in the door straight away,
Yeah.
over the course of some months, you build a relationship with the investor, and they get to trust you. They see how you progress, how you grow the business, and then that's going to be enough of an indicator for them to invest and take a stake in the company. But I think with any big investor, any VC funding, or even an angel investor, as soon as they invest, you're now kind of married to them in a way, because companies actually lost, like VC funding, or most likely lasts longer than marriages, or I think I read it somewhere like that. So essentially you're like marrying them. So
Yeah.
you better pick the right investors and make sure that these guys are also picking, they're also picking the right startup to invest in. Yeah.
That's amazing. Great advice there.
Be send some monthly newsletters, tweet more, share content, and let the investor just watch you as you progress, and just keep them up to date.
Yes.
The first meeting, don't just sell it to them. Just
Yeah.
have an intro meeting. Sell yourself as a person. Like get them to like you first, and then they'll see your company progress, and maybe they even ask you to invest. Like for one of the companies in our cohort in textiles, they closed their first funding round in 2 weeks, like their first VC funding round. So
Wow.
yeah. So we're not the best at funding. It's like,
So what's your thoughts on like building in public then, in terms of so it's definitely good for the business, but it's also good for if you're looking for VC funding or angel investors.
So building in public, right?
Yeah, building a public, is that something that you guys are currently doing at Arway?
So like building the product in public, or like just
Yeah, so just
sharing our progress
basically
publicly?
sharing the progress, and yeah, just sharing insights of weekly or monthly milestones.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So you probably don't want to do it completely publicly. That's why newsletters are quite good.
Yeah.
So through Texas, we were encouraged to start and invest in newsletter anyways. So from there, we just update all the investors we have on our mailing list that I've connected with, that I actually have a personal relationship with. So like, I know their first names, I know more
Yeah.
about themselves, and just through that, I list our KPIs, like our key performance indicators for the week, or sorry, for the month. So how many customers. So for example, for now, our new KPIs are like the customers we convert, how many users are active on our platform, how many API requests we're getting. But you building that rapport for like giving them some numbers. Maybe if you share some news, like, oh, we just made this partnership, we just did this thing. It just builds a rapport, and they have now a little bit of a track record of your progress. So if you go back to them 6 months later and tell them, look, we're going to start our funding round, they're going to say, oh yeah, I trust them because I have this 6 month, kind of like understanding of how they've progressed, and I know the founder well enough to trust them. I know it's a little harder with Zoom right now. You can't meet them in person
Yeah.
and build trust, but it's still possible. So I think everyone should just keep going for it, and if you're looking to raise, just keep at it and focus on the relationships.
100%. So that brings me on to my next question. So who are the three most influential people to you?
Yeah, three most influential. Wow, that's quite interesting. So right now, I mean, okay, so it kind of changes all the time. Like if I was right now 14, I would say like Elon Musk, and Nicola Tesla or something. But right now I'd say it's someone like no one probably knows this person, but it's like Christoph Janz, and he's basically a partner at Point Nine Capital. And just to explain, so he is like a genius when it comes to like SaaS metrics and SaaS financial plans. So like, just studying him, because he's kind of like a mathematician, helps me feel like just learn a lot from him. So like I just study his work, and it helps me build that into my business, because it's like this guy is he has set the foundations for like how VCs work, and just like the right metrics that VCs pay attention to, and that's just relevant to me now. But beyond that, I'd say Nicola Tesla has always been someone I've looked up to. So I think since I was 14, I've been looking up to him as like an inventor, as a creator.
Wow.
I think his work was definitely like unrecognized because of Edison and whatnot. And then thirdly, I mean, I'd say like someone in my personal network. So like Faz Yassin, for example. He's quite an inspiration, just seeing how he's quite young, but he's also able to build quite a lot at that age. And I mean, having because he's someone reachable, right? So I can't reach Nikola Tesla, and I can't reach this other VC I talked about, Christoph. But Faz, like he's actually a mentor to me as well. We've discussed in the past, and even in 2019 he was giving me some direction in business as well. So I think anyone can have like influential people in their networks, etc.
That's incredible. So you're learning from the best by the best in what they do.
So like Faz Yassin is someone I can actually like talk to now. Christoph, that venture partner, his work I can study now. It's available. He has a blog, he has Twitter. And Nikola Tesla is like history, so I can look at him as a case study almost.
It's amazing. And so on the final segment of the Checkmate Theory podcast, so we're just going to go through some quick fire questions, some really fun questions.
Quick fire.
So we've done the tech, we've done the business. Now we're just getting to know Baran, Korkmaz, and just having fun with the questions. So Baran, if you had 100 million pounds to spend, how would you spend it?
Right now, I'd probably go into biotech. So I'm really, really interested in biotech and neurotech. So I'd probably put a lot of that money into starting a company similar, or like a research group similar to Elon Musk's, which is Neuralink. And the biotech part is probably I'd spend 50 million on, so it'd be 50-50 on biotech and the neurotech stuff. So the biotech would be like new prosthetic arms, and trying to play more around with CRISPR, that technology for like that could potentially even cure cancer. So I'd love to just reinvest into that. And I want to understand the human mind more, and understand how we can kind of improve humans more as well.
That's amazing. Hopefully in a few years' time, you can look back at this video and say, yeah, I predicted it, I said it, and I've done it. So what's the future like for Arway?
So future right now is so we're going into 2021. So we're actually planning to start our seed raise early 2021. And the plan there is we have this growth, we have up until now built this product that's out. We've actually launched our beta 3 weeks ago on the 1st of November. And in early 2021, we believe like we can really take the market just because of how underserved it is right now. So especially in the AR domain, it's a really fast growing market. I mean, you saw the iPhone 12, the new sensors on there. You saw Facebook starting to talk about AR glasses. I mean, in 10 years time, I think we're going to transform to like AR glasses completely. So that's why if in 2021, if we can really prove ourselves to be like a center point for these AR developers, then and like a hub for them, then we're going to be the people, and we're going to be the platform that pushes those developments forward. Because even on the AR glasses, you need developers for that. And so our plan is to make our software interoperable with AR glasses, mobile devices. Even right now, because we rely on RGB cameras, we could use that location technology for drones. So like if a drone wants to scan a building or understand a more accurate position, we could actually do that by just one integration, by just like adding a little bit of software. So the possibilities are really endless in this kind of space. So yeah, we're just excited for 2021, and hopefully by that point we have tens of thousands of developers that we're actively powering, and some of the solutions are creating more entertaining apps, or some of them are actually saving lives, or some of them are being a real useful tool for people.
Definitely. Just listening to you speak, you have some phenomenal ideas, and I'm definitely excited for the future in tech, because a lot of exciting stuff is going on right now in the tech world. A lot of new ideas, a lot of new concepts, a lot of just wow.
And I encourage anyone to just get started. Literally go on YouTube, get curious about it, like research just how awesome this kind of space is, and just get started. I mean, build some prototypes, mess around, share your progress on Twitter or Instagram, and I promise you people will appreciate that, especially the ones you think are unreachable, like the guys in Silicon Valley do pay attention. So I have had run-ins with some of the CEOs from there, and they've appreciated some of my work. So that's what the internet does, which is give access now. And I think 20, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, this would have been kind of impossible to do. But you can learn everything on there. You can connect.
That's why I'm such an advocate for building on the internet, because whereas 30 years ago your market cap was the people around you, your wider community, the country you're in, but now you've got 5 billion people on the internet. So it's just amazing. So exactly. What books are you currently reading now? What's your favorite book, and why?
I could actually bring it out now. I mean, the current book I'm reading is this, which is called Venture Deals, and this is by Brad Feld. So actually I have done there was like a course for this I've done, but basically it just talks about the world of venture capital, how startups raise, how the whole process works, and that's just something as more of like a learning lesson for me, just to go over like the details of term sheets. I mean, I really understand like liquidation preferences and how to negotiate term sheets. So it's just a really nice read on that. Beyond that, the other book I'm also planning to start. Let me just get this. And this is another book actually created by Techstars. And this is called Sell More Faster.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was looking at this book online. I need to add that to the library.
I could send it to you as well, maybe. Just post it over.
Yeah, I've got a lot of books here as well. So definitely trade books. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I just love like these kind of non-fiction books, just to get into like practical advice. That's the main value I get out of these anyways.
Yeah, so you mentioned valuetainment. Patrick Bet-David has a really good book I picked up called Your Next 5 Moves.
Dropout. Oh yeah, there's that. And then I also read his book, actually have his book, Drop Out and Get Schooled, which is amazing. And it's basically based on his video he created, which is like 40 minutes of explaining why you should drop out, or why you should definitely stay in school. Which is a really good read. So
I'll definitely check that
I think that's definitely something I'd recommend for any of the younger listeners on here, who are making considerations whether school's the right path for them or not. So definitely check out Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David.
Awesome, man. And where can our listeners find you online?
So I'm pretty active, mostly active on LinkedIn, but I still have Twitter and Instagram. So on Twitter you can find me at I am Baran Korkmaz, and then on LinkedIn it's the same. I think if you just search Baran Korkmaz on LinkedIn, it should come up. But I'm also now on YouTube, so would be great to see if anyone's interested in understanding startup economics, and yeah, I just plan to create more content around that for any startup founders who are just starting to understand what a startup is and getting into that space.
Absolutely. I'm a subscriber, and I'll definitely encourage all the listeners on the Checkmate Theory to check out your YouTube channel. There's a lot of value, and it's entertaining as well. The best of both.
Yeah, and that's the plan. I mean, I want to make these more entertaining, so it's actually enjoyable. Because personally, I actually hate listening, watching those kind of like boring, no music, like those like deep finance videos, because it's just so I don't know, it's such a drain. So having a little bit of entertainment and now my plan is to just keep it short, would just work best. So yeah, let's see.
And it's cool because you're having fun with it as well. Like, you're giving a lot of value, but you're also showing who you are in those videos. It's not like other YouTube videos talking about finance and venture capital, where they're just talking at you, just like you're listening to a robot. But you've put a nice twist to it, and definitely everyone check out that YouTube channel. The last question to you, my brother, is what is your
Yes.
checkmate theory?
Yes. My checkmate theory. So in terms of my checkmate theory, so I think, okay, so here's how I define it. So checkmate theory is you're like, just like in a chess game, life is like chess. You need to get to that checkmate point. And my checkmate theory is startups. So I'd say, creating startup businesses, understanding how to build these businesses, and now I'm at the point of like being experienced enough to share my experience with startups. That's like my checkmate theory of getting to my next goal, which is probably helping more and more startup founders. So yeah, my checkmate theory is using the experience I have, helping more startup founders, and by that way I help them also get to their checkmate theories, and end up getting checkmate.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for being on here. And thank you all of the listeners that have got up to this point. My name's been Ahmed Abdi. I've made my move. Now it's time for you to make yours. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.